Hi everyone, this is Shubhangi and this is the Stack Ahead podcast. I am glad to invite Dieter Gobeyn on this podcast today. A little bit about him. He is Azure MVP, has worked for a lot of years in technology sector. He's a very active public speaker, shares his knowledge with the community around the world. He's a TOGAF practitioner and a Scrum Master as well. He's very multi-talented as well. I'm glad to welcome him on today's episode. So welcome, Dieter. Over to you. Do you want to say something about yourself as well?
Absolutely. Thank you. It's been such a long time we've seen each other, right?
Yeah. It's been a while. Yeah.
It's great to catch up here. Absolutely. So thank you for the introduction. Yes. I'm a bit multiverse indeed, yes.
Yeah.
But I would say working after about 15 years of a career, I think that's really necessary, right?
Yeah.
So I kind of collected different skills there. I try to be active in different communities as well.
Yeah.
So a little bit of everything, basically. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we have known each other for last 2 years. So obviously, I've seen a lot of your work and I have seen your sessions and they are obviously incredible. And I think a couple of them that I have seen in person, they are like very informative. And I think because I have worked on like logic apps and AI, so I know that it's a very valuable piece of work as well. So kudos to you on working on that. So with this, I'm going to start the podcast and I'm going to ask you a bunch of questions. So I think the first question is about your career journey. Like, how did you end up in this sector? When you were young, did you always want to be like, technology is something I wanted to work in? Or this is something happened more like, in the course of education or your, journey of life?
Yes. Well, actually, surprisingly, and not a lot of people know this,
Yeah.
my first major is a kitchen chef. So you might be wondering, hey, how do I end up in IT, right? Especially consulting.
Yeah.
Once I graduated, I was like, do I see myself doing this job for the next 40 years? And the answer was basically no. So I wanted something practical, right? Something I could do myself as well.
Yeah.
So I did IT, I graduated there, and then I immediately started working for a consulting firm.
Yeah.
Which was really helpful. I've met lots of people, was able to connect. You need to be a little bit social as well, right? To, get the most out of it, right?
Yeah.
Really, I took it from there, basically. I've been very passionate about technology for many years. I would say even in my teenage years, right? I was quite grateful that my parents also gave me the opportunity to pursue that.
Yeah.
That was really good. And I think it was also the right timing. There was a lot of demand for IT 15 years ago once I graduated. So it was quite easy to get, on that market, right? Especially with latest changes, things are very different now.
Yeah.
And I really, it's something I love to do as well. Obviously, I think in a job, you need to pursue things that you love as well. But then also there's the job part as well, right?
Yeah.
So, and it's really something I like enjoying doing this as well. And even on holiday, I read books, I read documentation, things that are really interesting for me.
Yeah.
And that's really how I gathered most of my knowledge as well. So
No, this is interesting. I think a lot of people, they end up in technology because like they like working, especially with like programming or coding from a very young age.
Yeah.
And some people transit obviously from careers to careers in technology as well, which is, I think I've seen most common cases as well. So I think, it's interesting. I think technology is a sector anybody can work in. That's what I look at it. And I think as you're passionate about it, I think that's where the whole change lies. So you're also Microsoft MVP for Azure technology, right? So how did that happen and what does that journey look like?
Yes, actually that was a very interesting journey. So I've been, I would say, once I graduated and once I started my first job, I've been basically active in communities, I wouldn't say all the time, but like on and off, following them, attending them. I would say back in the days, I was mostly meetups, in an office, right?
Yeah.
So it wasn't too much virtual now. We've got lots of different things now. So that was always something that, I think I really valued because there's a lot to learn, right?
Yeah.
There's an aspect of mentorship and coaching, right?
Yeah.
Where different people explain, hey, this is how we've done things. This is what didn't work out. And this is the message I kind of want to pass you on.
Yeah.
And I think that's very interesting, right? Gradually I started to do that as well, right?
Yeah.
So over the course of the past years, I started to share more. I started to participate more and share my part of the story as well.
Yeah.
I would say the good and the bad things, just being transparent. That's really what I wanted to do. Until someone asked me, hey, why are you not an MVP yet, right? Why is this not the case?
Yeah.
Obviously, it has come up in my mind a couple of times, like the process to apply, this kind of thing, right? And then a little bit of stress. And he nominated me. I got accepted eventually, and I'm very grateful for it because, it's also quite nice.
Yeah. No, it is. So like how many times have you already been in MVP? Like, is it always have been for Azure, or like have you also worked on other technologies?
So I've been mostly active in Azure, right, for quite many years, and then the Azure MVP part was since this year, right? Yeah.
Okay, great. I have also seen you on a lot of public speaking forums, and obviously that's a part of like your knowledge sharing passion as well. So, I mean, how did that happen? Like, I mean, a lot of people do struggle with like being a public speaker. Was it something you were good at, like since beginning, or this is a muscle like you developed over the course of time with this passion of building community and like being somebody who can help people understand things better?
No, I wasn't good at this initially. So what actually happened is that a colleague of mine, he invited me into a community session as well, right?
Yeah.
So he was speaking, he told me, hey, you also know quite a lot of stuff about this subject. Why don't you join me for once? So I thought, like, hey, that's cool. It seems to be like not too many people are there, right? I know the subject quite good, right? So yeah, cool that we can present together. And I think that was a great opportunity for me to kind of see how it feels to be at the other side of the room, right? So not only, silently in my room, in my house, writing blog posts, but also speaking in front of people, right? So that was the first time, and it was really interesting, very nice. I've learned a lot of stuff. And then afterwards I decided, hey, how can I make this for myself more comfortable? And how do I make sure I deliver the right message to other people as well, right? So that's when I did a public speaking course, right? And especially for an introverted person as me, it's very helpful.
I can relate.
So they help you out with lots of stuff.
And
they explain you lots of stuff, and you need to do all kind of exercises, and it's really fun. It's a nice group as well. And I had a really good time. 8 weeks in London. If anyone's interested, I have a discount code as well. So yeah, absolutely recommend it.
Yeah, sounds amazing. So from your experience, what would be the top 3 tips you will give to someone who wants to be like a good public speaker and also has a passion for community knowledge and building the communities as well?
I think the biggest items, especially that most people, including myself, I struggle to just show up, right? And the biggest takeaway here is that one doesn't need to be an expert in the subject, right? You just need to have a sufficient amount of knowledge to deliver more than what's on the official kind of documentation publicly available, right? And just being able to share what you've done, being able to spark curiosity and share which part didn't work, that's great. And that's what we need. We don't need experts. We don't need people who are also experts in presentation, not in the subject itself. Just present from your point of view. And I think the community works both ways, right? So instead of the presenter always presenting their point of view, why don't we invite the audience also to present, afterwards, hey, that's a really good subject, but, my experience is different, right? So it goes both ways. And I think that's really what community is about, right? Not just one-way projection, but then two ways communication. And we all can learn from each other, including the speaker, including people there. So, just showing up, obviously. And then, speaking about things that you care about, things that you've worked about, maybe something at work, something, you looked at during the weekend. So that's really important, I think. That's where people can kind of get started easily, I would say. So it kind of lowers down the the pressure there. Absolutely.
I think that's quite right. I kind of agree with most like part of it. I feel like you just need to show up. That's like the first thing that is important, because like most people don't. And you have to step outside your comfort zone. Like if you really want to, break, I would say, the cycle. And, say, this time I want to be the person, like I want to be sharing the knowledge. So I guess that's the right answer. A little bit more about like not technology, because I know that you are a tech expert. So how with the advent of AI, how do you think things are evolving? And like, for example, the businesses, what kind of things the businesses should actually focus on now from like a technical standpoint? Because technology is a part of really, really every business in one capacity or the other.
I think with AI, there's a couple of things that will change, right? So I think AI used to be, and especially if we look at, until 2-3 years ago, used to be a technology where you specifically need engineers. Now that's not the case anymore, right? So even enterprise companies, they can build their own agent or any support agent or anything with AI. Where an IT professional, right, or someone at business can use that, can build that without the need to involve, IT department, right? So they can steer away from themselves. So it lowers the barrier of delivery to production, I would say.
Yeah.
So that's the first thing. And then the second thing I would say, with all these different teams, being business, being IT professional, being development teams, creating different agents, right?
Yeah.
I think a lot of, especially the bigger companies, right, thinking about enterprises, they will be overloaded with lots of AI, AI stuff, AI agents. So the question is, how do we, from a security point of view, how do we keep things secure? How do you manage that? Pricing, cost point of view. So there's quite a lot of interesting questions there.
Yeah. I think we are in a very interesting time, because like the rate at which AI has evolved is like unprecedented.
Absolutely.
And I'm sure by the end of this year there will be 5 more different things happening. And like I feel like technology has taken a new realm, like a completely new phase now. And I just think, like, for example, the way we used to work, for example, if I say I was working in analytics before, and then now it has changed a lot. And like the way I look at things also has evolved. And I think you are right in the fact that like the enterprise, I mean the big businesses, obviously they definitely want to move to that path. But then I think governance becomes a lot of like a point where people want to actually think about like how the data will be used, and then for example, how somebody will like make sure that all the compliance is in place before actually an application is rolled out. Like, what do you think about that?
It's where most of the companies don't have an answer to yet, I think.
Yeah.
Even the bigger vendors, and there's where kind of the problem starts.
Yeah.
Looking at, so I've done a lot of work with APIs, right?
Yeah.
We've got quite a lot of governance in place also from a product point of view.
Yeah.
Security guidelines, right? Because people have been using that over the past, especially REST APIs, let's say a solid 10 years, maybe 15 years, right?
Yeah.
But with AI, this is all kind of new within the market, and there's no such, governance yet. There's no such, how do we couple things together? How do we keep an inventory? How do we manage budget amongst different products? Security point of view there. So now what's happening is, especially companies and bigger companies, they're just stitching things together as good as possible.
Yeah.
But we are kind of missing a product that kind of glues things together a bit.
Yeah.
Right, that's able to assist there. And I think most company vendors and most software vendors are kind of looking into that direction eventually.
Yeah.
But what you see now is they are kind of regrouping their AI products as well, right? And I think the next step is more implementing the governance, budget control, who has access to what, security, data leakage. So I think that's probably the next step, where they will come with a more centralized solution. And I hope, obviously, it will be there.
Yeah, no, I think on that note, I have another question. So, like, for example, you're working on Microsoft Azure. How did you see the transition happening, like, within that space, like, before generative AI came into place and now? And then, like, how do you think this will be, like, evolving in the next 2-3 years? Like, where do you see it going?
Are you referring more to Gen AI in general, or AI?
I think more like for example, you are working currently with Microsoft Azure, let's say, and then, like, it becomes a part of that whole stack, like, for example, Power BI has Copilot in like more integrated, and then, like, for example, Tableau has their own. So every environment is kind of building in things, So how do you think that will evolve? And I'm like, I know that couple of bits about things already like that have evolved, but I want to hear like your opinion, like, how does technology as a whole evolve, and then how, like, for example, if you're working on Azure, how will that evolve? Like, how will cloud environment evolve?
I think the cloud environment, together as most companies, everyone is eagerly looking for business cases, right?
Yeah.
So everyone is looking for business cases, including software vendors, in this case potentially Microsoft.
Yeah.
Every company is looking for business cases that they can implement to their, for their company, to optimize, make things more efficient, save money, make more money, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Improve the quality. And that's really the first step what we was looking at, right? Probably every product has, kind of enhanced capabilities, right?
Yeah.
Technology has been there for a little bit more than this year.
Yeah.
And I think I need to look at you for, the expertise there, because that's probably your thing more, right? Exactly.
Yeah.
But we will see things more integrated. And that's, I think, where we're bridging the gap between the product / software that we had / how are we bridging that and integrating more with AI, maybe cross product as well, maybe more descriptive assistance point of view. I think that will be the low hanging fruit that we'll be seeing in the next 12 months there. So if you refer to kind of Copilot, right, we've got functionalities in team that will extend, but I'm expecting the same from software development programs and, like anything that you kind of describe and provide. Documentation that will be generated automatically, part of your software that can be generated automatically. Thinking about the previous rules, the previous governance that your application already has. So there's definitely more integration rather than kind of the basic aspect there, because we've kind of passed that basic, generate something here. That's what I think.
Yeah, I agree. So how do you manage to keep on the top of like all the new things that come up every other day? Like this is a very common question I have heard, and like people have asked me, and then I also ask other people. So everybody gives varied answers, but I would like to ask you as well.
Yes, it's very difficult, I would say. Yes. So I think the first thing that I usually do is, like, if it's a new and trendy topic, surprisingly, I skip it. I wait a couple of months to see how it kind of balances out. And then, because things really change really fast in the early, early part, right? Yeah. And so I usually skip it. I see, when it's become a little bit more stable. And then I read about it, and there's lots of information about it as well. So it kind of facilitates, it's a little bit easier. So that's the first thing. And then I think once you're kind of up to speed with most of the subject, it's just kind of catching up on whatever you're kind of missing, right? That's it. But then apart from that, I love reading as well. So when I don't understand a kind of a certain subject, I read about it. I might save it on my phone. I read about it later. I've got tons of YouTube subscriptions, and when I see something interesting, I kind of flag it down for view later. So when I have a little bit of time, when I have the mental capacity as well, I can then read or view the video or, process it eventually. But I think that's the catch. Like, there's no moment where I actively think, hey, I'm going to catch up on everything from the last month or 2 months. I kind of have a stream of information. I flag it down as, I need to read this, try this out, view this later. And once I've got a little bit of a moment, right? That's kind of the spot where I learn, where I, spark that curiosity. And that's kind of how I deal with this,
Any like links, websites, resources that you would recommend that somebody should keep their eye on, if they want to stay ahead in the technological stack?
I think YouTube has been really useful for me, to be honest.
YouTube. I mean, any channels on YouTube?
I can't really think about certain channels. But especially YouTube is good because it's mostly visuals as well. So you see people kind of performing there, right? And by the time a product is more kind of stable, people start to create videos about it. Whilst blog posts, sometimes they can be really early phase or not necessarily entirely correct. So, more stable version is YouTube. And there's also channels that I have. But, looking at the products you're interested in, the products that are relevant for your career. I think that's really the part there.
No, I agree. There are a lot of things. I've read several blogs as well. So a lot of those blogs are very early days, and things do change really fast. So YouTube is useful because if you want to see end-to-end, obviously, cycle of things, how to build, let's say. So there are a lot of good content, whichever domain you are in. So I do agree with that. And I think on that, when you are transitioning, you have been in this industry for 14, 15 years, right? And you do need mentors. So how that has, you must have had mentors, and how that has helped you evolve. And then what does mentorship mean to you as a person as well?
I think I've had a multiple type of mentors, basically. So I would say the first one is basically any colleague, could be boss, could be a friend. At the point where they provide you feedback or they try to challenge you. More often you're being challenged. And I think that's also sort of mentorship, right? So being open-minded about what are people asking? Why am I being challenged, right? That's also a form of mentorship, I think. And that's something most people have access to on, I would say, a daily basis, right? So, and I think that's really valuable. The second part of mentorship I've had is that now and then I come across people who are very intelligent.
Yeah.
And people that I think, wow, this guy or this girl, they know a lot of information.
Yeah.
Sometimes they're really good at explaining things. Sometimes they know lots about technology.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's just stakeholder management, creating documentation, anything.
Yeah.
You need to befriend those people and you need to just tell him, you are great in this. Like, how can I become better at this as well? Please let me know how I can improve myself. And more often they will just provide you feedback. And I think it's just also important that ask them to be blunt. Ask them to be straightforward to you, because otherwise they're just going to fluff it up. And it's just harsh feedback. And that's really where I feel like the right mentorship is about, finding the right people where you feel like, hey, they're doing a good job, and invite them in your life.
So like for example, if you had mentored somebody, so like how have you communicated like the feedback? Because I think that's kind of crucial part of the process. Like when you're mentoring somebody, so like for example, if you are doing it, like how do like, what are the, I would say, top tip that you will suggest that somebody should follow if they are mentoring somebody, and then providing that, you know, that you want to communicate the right sort of thing, but obviously in the right way?
I think there's two very important items here. So when it comes to mentoring, it could be a colleague, it could be someone where you've kind of officially signed, right? The feedback needs to be private. When it's great, provide it publicly, right? But more than often, it's better to provide private feedback. And you need to deliver the feedback as soon as possible. Nobody has any value into 6 months later down the road. Do you know what you've did 6 months ago? Provide it straight away, very honest. And some people refer to this as brutal feedback. But it's also really the most valuable, I think. Just being honest, just communicate it. Hey, this is what's being expected. You've done this great because of this. Or maybe the other way around. And that's what people will eventually appreciate as well. Sometimes what I see is that when I start working with kind of newer people, right, not used to my methods, I need to take it, I wouldn't say slow it down a little bit, right? But be careful, right? Because not everyone is used to work like this. But once you kind of, understand that feedback is improving, feedback is self-learning as well, most people will actually appreciate that.
No, I agree. I think like how you give feedback is, I think, very important in mentorship, I think. So I do, like, different people have different strategies, obviously, but I do understand the sentiment. So I think on that note, like, yesterday I was speaking with somebody and they said, like, like AI can do all the coding work now, and the programming work, and I was like, I mean, it certainly can generate code if you give a right prompt. And their opinion was, like, for example, human skills will become more important over the course of time. So according to you, like, what are the top 3 skills that people should work on now with, like, the evolution of AI? Like, from, like, it can be soft skills or like programming skills or any other skills. What do you think are the top 3 skills that will make you stand out?
I think the most important thing that for now that we see kind of missing in a lot of the professionals is that they already have niche skills under the belt. They have certain aspects. They feel like, I'm interested in certain specific technology. They know quite a lot about it, right? Or especially sufficient to kind of pass the interview, to get on the roll with the company, right? And then they move on a bit. In a general point of view, I see what's missing is more a basic understanding of IT, right? I'm looking at potentially networking, database design, storage, security. And more than often when anyone is developing / designing / any kind of roles from IT, you need to have an understanding of these things as well. Not necessarily from a first priority, but also because your application just becomes much better, right? More performance, cheaper, more secure. And it also allows you to work better with different teams as well. Because you kind of understand what they are doing. It's not a black box for you anymore, right? And that's also a really big shift in, looking back at pre-cloud, right? We've had, everyone's kind of working in their own box technology stuff, right? So this is really where everyone had their niche software, right? But nowadays, most teams are also responsible for cloud spending, cloud budgets, the security with private connectivity there. So they have more they can set up more things on the cloud themselves, right? Yeah. But it also means they need to have a better understanding of how it works.
Yeah.
So having that fundamental layer is more important, I think, than kind of the niche or kind of the aspects.
Yeah.
And from my point of view, an IT career is always a marathon and not a sprint.
Yeah.
You will see definitely. In like 5-7 years, whatever we've been talking about today, this specific topic or this specific software, it doesn't exist anymore potentially, right?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know, but I feel like, for example, if somebody's working, if they use, let's say, AI to generate code, for example, hypothetically, but if you don't really know how to fix that code, then you are stuck again.
That's it.
Yeah, it cannot help you solve that faster unless you have at least some basics.
Yes.
So obviously foundation has to be your rock solid. I think I do agree 100%.
Yeah.
I think, what do you think about communication as a skill as well? For example, somebody coming, for example, from engineering background, right? Those people are great at engineering work. And I've seen people who come from business backgrounds, for example, they have done some business degree. They're greater at more simplifying concepts. And sometimes people who are from engineering might not be. So how do you think somebody who comes from engineering background can bridge that gap, let's say? And they want to simplify what they have done for the business, but let's say they really don't know how to get ahead in that. So how do you think they can do that?
I think the key word here is stakeholder management.
Yeah.
And that's a difficult and very broad subject, right?
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
I think obviously it's stakeholder management because that's how you simplify. But I think the most successful people I've seen are the ones who can do both.
Yes.
They're great at whatever they do, but they're also great communicators because they know how to explain what they have done. And I think if you don't know, you might actually struggle. This is just my opinion, though.
It's true. I mean, being able to communicate complex, technology in very simple words is really what's important here, right?
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're just stuck with a team of engineers. And, it doesn't really allow you to involve other people as well, business analysts, potentially business, product owner, manager.
Yeah.
So I think it's important to get out of that engineering mindset, technology, and really be able to communicate that to other people. I think it comes to practice, really. So if people feel like, hey, I'm stuck, I'm not able to kind of, connect with the right people, or at least they've been asking loads of questions. It seems that they don't have a grasp of what I'm doing, right? Yeah, practice. Just be open for feedback. Look at how would I explain that to my grandmother, right? That's a really good catch, basically, there.
Yeah.
And ask how that can be improved, basically. Get away out of those, technical concept, difficult words, buzzwords, right? And simplify it for, anyone who's a little bit less familiar with IT, but then still, is on the boat, knows the company, knows the process.
The process, Yeah, I generally think of it if somebody can explain the same thing for to a 5-year-old kid. That's how I look at it. Then they are gonna be successful in explaining that to anybody.
Yes.
Because they have to really think through, how will I explain this to this, let's say, a 5-year-old kid? And you have to really keep your stakeholder cap on to think in that light that, how do I explain them to this who has not, let's say, worked on this workflow, but it means something to them.
Yes.
So that's how I look at it. But, it's I think it's the same thing, but you just have different angles to look at it.
I actually have an interesting viewpoint on this because if someone is unable to kind of explain it to anyone else except the engineers, how are you able to be challenged?
Yeah.
Not at all, I think, right? So it's just an engineering discussion eventually. Yeah, you want to be challenged by product owner, by business analyst, anyone else, right? Yeah. And that's just maybe other teams as well, right? So they also need to have a good understanding of what you're doing. So the communication there is important. And if it's just a black box, right? Then, you can't be challenged. There's no room for improvement and self-growth. So, absolutely.
Yeah. So if someone is starting out their career in tech today, and they come to you asking, can you tell me what are the 3 things I should master if they want to get their first job, let's say, as an engineering, as a cloud engineer, let's say, or Azure engineer, or maybe any other role. What do you think are the top 3 fundamental skills they should be good at so that they can get into their first role?
Well, the market has been very different now than 50 years ago, right?
Yeah, but you are you have been a part of several discussions. So
looking at potentially like the interviews I've seen, right?
Yeah.
The strongest candidates are those who can communicate and provide a view on the ability to work in a team.
Yeah.
Not necessarily around the technology skills that they have, right? It's more around, hey, can we work as a team? Can we explain things together?
Yeah.
How easily do I connect with right people, right? Do I feel befriended with you within the first 15 minutes, right?
Yeah.
And also having that concept of, hey, I'm not too familiar with this technology, but maybe I've used something else, right? And this is what we did before, or this is what I know about it, right?
Yeah.
I think this is really where portable skills come in place, right?
Yeah.
Technology changes all the time. I think every 5 to 7 years you kind of need to jump on that big shift, so to speak, right? At least that's what I've had in my career.
Yeah.
And being able to kind of, rely on the previous knowledge, right, is really useful, especially for interviews as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you think? Would you be able to add something on that?
I think the top 3 skills, obviously, I think communication is really important. Then I think getting our fundamentals right, because I feel like from the mentorship sessions I have done, like most of the people don't exactly have gone through their fundamentals properly. I think most of the times interviewers, they want you to be successful in the interview because, they're sitting on that panel for a reason, right? They like you already. They are here to hire you. You have to just give them a good reason of hiring yourself. And if you are able to get the fundamentals right, communicate properly, and I think don't just one should not just give an answer, but more walk through the process, the thought process. I think that is where the game changes, because that is where most people want alignment as well, because if two people think, you want to get your thinking challenged as well, and you also want to see something new, but you also want to see some alignment. So I think those 3 things, if you're going ahead in whatever role you are, you can be the person to get hired. I think if I'm let's say hiring somebody, I would definitely want somebody to be a great communicator, for example.
Yes, absolutely.
If it's a data role, I would say I will still ask SQL questions, because it's a language you need to work with databases still. And I would, if I give them a case study, I would expect that, walk me through how you did it, rather than this is the outcome I have gained out of it. There is no right or wrong answer. There is more mindset.
Yeah.
Because then the skills is something you can teach eventually over the course of time, I believe. What do you think?
No, it's true. We do work as a team, right?
Yeah.
The time where, an engineer was working alone, this is already such a long time ago, right?
Yeah.
We work more and more in teams. And if you start working together in, bigger companies, think about enterprise companies.
Yeah.
It's all about teamwork eventually, right?
Yeah.
That teamwork is very important. I would say potentially even more important.
Yeah. Yeah. I think working in a team is definitely important, because getting along and working in collaboration and bringing out the best results, that only happens in teamwork, I think.
True.
So
True.
Yeah.
That's really where you see the 1 + 1 = 3, right? You think?
Yeah. Sure. So now I'm gonna move to the last segment, which is the rapid fire. Okay. So it's gonna be fun. I have a very a good bunch of interesting questions for you. So, what's the first programming language you ever learned?
VB.NET.
Oh, Visual Basic.NET. Oh, nice. PowerShell or CLI?
PowerShell.
One tech gadget you can't live without?
Probably my very, very, very small laptop, 13-inch.
Oh, I would have expected a different answer, but okay. So what's harder, cloud migration or cost optimization?
Cost optimization.
Windows, Linux, or both?
Windows, of course.
AI in cloud, hype or the real game changer?
Real game changer.
Okay, I want you to elaborate on that a bit, but after we finish the rapid fire. Coffee or tea while coding?
Coffee, absolutely.
Okay, I think this we have covered, but in one word, one career advice you always give to your juniors?
Ask.
Curiosity.
They don't ask enough questions.
Yeah.
I think career advice kind of depends a bit on the role, right?
Yeah.
And especially for juniors, they, at least most people fear of asking questions out of, it's not allowed or people will judge them.
Yeah.
It's not true. I think they need to ask more questions, right?
Yeah.
challenge the other people, have an understanding what's happening.
Yeah.
Just ask, where can I find the right information? Yeah. So asking is really important there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good. Yeah. If Azure disappeared tomorrow, which cloud stack will you pick?
No, I've stopped working.
You would stop working?
Absolutely.
Oh my God. So, which is the first tech conference you ever attended and when?
I did some meetups before, right?
Yeah.
Early on. But then in terms of conference, I think I went to a very large conference in Paris.
Okay.
A conference from Microsoft that potentially doesn't exist anymore.
Okay.
I found a very old t-shirt about it like a couple of months ago.
Okay, and you didn't know that this question
exactly.
will be asked today. Good.
Yeah.
Okay. One Microsoft MVP perk you like the most?
Social benefits. It's just being able to connect to the right people.
Yeah.
Having that group of, other MVPs as well.
Yeah.
It does break the ice immediately to kind of say hi. That's amazing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. Yeah. What's the biggest myth about Azure?
The biggest myth is that it's faster.
Okay. Dark mode or light mode?
Absolutely dark mode.
Okay. If this is a very funny question, but you will have to give one answer. You can't change it. If you could have dinner with any tech leader, past or present, which person would it be?
Obviously Bill Gates, right?
Okay. Cool. And with that, we come to the end of our session and the podcast episode as well. Thank you, Dieter, a lot for coming and joining us today. It was great having you here. I'm so glad we collaborated again. I think, third time maybe?
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
I think this year second time, but we have met before. So yeah, it was great again. And I just wanted to say towards the end, I've attended obviously 2-3 of your sessions, and I can say from my personal standpoint, I've been a great fan because I think your delivery is really good, the way you explain things, and some of the work that you have done with the Logic Apps session I saw was really good, I think you just keep on doing the great things you're doing, and I'm so glad that we have done this again. So yeah, with that we come to the end of the episode. Thank you.